Welcome back to the Roundball Report. That was some sound there from the Giants of Africa program. You saw Masai Ujiri getting the student athletes ready to rock and roll. Joining us in this block of the Roundball Report are two people who are integral in founding diplomacy programs that focus on the power of basketball in Africa. I'm joined by Tadai Abilla of Hustle Hard Global, the co-founder and president, and Godwin Owinje, who is the co-founder and director of player development for Giants of Africa. Thanks for being with me, guys.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we kicked it off with the sound of your boy, Godwin. So explain how Giants of Africa came to be.
Well, Giants of Africa, we founded Giants of Africa 15 years ago, Masai and I, and it came about while we were in Europe playing professionally, and we would visit each other often and, you know, just talk about what we want to do, you know, to give back to our continent. And running camps was the first thing that came to mind, and that's how we started.
Ty, you know you got a predecessor in Giants of Africa 15 years ago. Hustle Hard Global is not quite that old, but did you sort of look to them when you were launching Hustle Hard Global?
Absolutely. 4 years ago when we launched Hustle Hard Global, Giants of Africa was a huge inspiration for us. Definitely wanted to model their implementation of what they were doing in the community and what they were doing on an international level. So definitely looked for them for inspiration to implement what we were doing.
It's super dope to see clips like we just saw and pictures we've got from you, Ty, in terms of the way sport can impact the lives of young people, but it's a lot of work. I mean, what is even the first step to launch a program like this, Ty?
Really taking a leap of faith and just having that knowledgeable and passion for basketball. My business partner, Megan McCartney, and I decided that, you know, one day let's start a basketball organization, let's impact the world. And, you know, we really took a leap of faith and just really learned the process as we went along. No expertise in being an entrepreneur, starting a business, but really just using our passion for basketball to really drive us forward in what we're doing today.
What is it about basketball, though, Godwin? Like, why not a multi-sport camp, right? Like, you can play soccer, right?
well, it's because of basketball I'm here today. So, you know, it's not soccer, although I grew up playing soccer. You know, when I got too tall to play soccer, that's when I, you know, went to basketball. And, you know, it's just a sport that is so universal, you know, and you try to get kids, you know, to play the sports in Africa, because when I was growing up, when I and Masai was growing up, you know, our parents won't let us play sports. It's, you know, you got to study. So we're trying to break that that whatever you want to call it, jinx or whatever, you know, and try to encourage parents to, you know, let their kids play sports, you know, basketball, soccer, you know, they should encourage them, you know. Like me, you know, my parents never saw me play basketball, which is something, you know, that I don't want other kids to, to go through. So that's just the thing.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this one just a little bit. My dad wrote a book about the chances that student athletes go pro, and the numbers are small, whereas you get a degree, and we could argue that African parents are on it, right? Get a good degree, get a good job, have a good life. But both of you guys are former athletes at different levels. What is it that people tend to discount that can be learned through sports in your experience?
For me personally, basketball has taught me a lot of life skills. You know, I've learned leadership, teamwork, you know, how to decipher and, you know, just be in an environment with different personalities. And because of my love of sports and because how dedicated I was to it, I've been able to travel the world and see new things, but also being able to share my experiences with other people. And I think the special thing about basketball, as Godwin said, it's universal. You know, you can definitely share experiences. And I had the opportunity to play basketball and to see what that was like on my level, but to share this with underprivileged youth and give them, you know, the expertise and give them the exposure needed, you know, giving them opportunities that they necessarily may not have had before.
Would you agree, Godwin?
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. Because like when we, you know, go to Africa to run these camps, we try to encourage kids, you know, to know that, you know, going across the seas is not the only option. You know, I mean, there are lots of, you know, there's a lot that they can do in the continent of Africa that they, you know, they should not always think about, you know, oh, I got to get a scholarship to go to college in the States or in Canada or, you know, elsewhere. You know, there are so many kids that have gone through our program that are doing very well, they're businessmen, you know, back in Africa. So it's only a few that, you know, that gets that opportunity to come to school in the United States, and, you know, so we try to encourage, you know, all the kids, to use basketball as a tool, not to let basketball use them.
Absolutely. Now, Giants of Africa has been in 7 countries this past year. We'll be in 7 countries. You guys are getting ready to kick off for this year, coming up in August. Ty and Hustle Hard Global, a little bit younger. But Godwin, if you could give her a piece of advice as she continues to grow what she's doing, what might it be in your 15 years of stately experience?
Well, I think what she's doing right now is, she's on the right path. And, like when we started in Nigeria alone, and she's doing it in Kenya, which is good, and just grow from there and then expound, because we did it in Nigeria for, I want to say, almost 10 years. No, 9 years before we started branching out. And, as Masai's platform grew, as my platform grew, we started branching out. The first year we went out, we did it in Kenya and Ghana. And then we went back to Kenya, went back to Ghana, and then added Rwanda, we added Uganda, we added Ivory Coast, and now, our plan next year is to try not to go to any of the countries we went to, this year or last year, 7 new countries.
Gotcha.
So,
that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Now, Ty, 2018 is very unique in many ways in terms of people coming into their own and celebrating their being. We've seen it a lot in terms of the women's movement. And what I loved as I was digging up B-roll and files and pictures for both of you is that these aren't boys-only camps, right? It's both young men and young women. But Ty, for you to be a founder of a camp that's servicing young men and young women, you're servicing them, that's one, but then you're setting such an incredible example. I mean, do you sort of grasp all that? Are the girls like, wait, you run this? Like, how does that go?
It's a beautiful thing, and it wasn't until my business partner and I started Hustle Hard where I was able to gain a better understanding of what my purpose is, and which is why I'm so passionate about it. And just being on the ground, seeing the direct impact that we're making, I'm definitely grateful for that opportunity. And one of the reasons why, mentioning working with women and young girls, we decided to host our annual basketball tournament, which is geared to just women and young girls, because we wanted to give them a platform where they could showcase their skills and they can show off, the great qualities and skills that they have. Because, more than likely in most places it's very male-dominated. They have tournaments and camps for boys all over the place, but we want to provide them something of their own, and I think it's important that we showcase that. And the beautiful thing about it is, at our tournament, most of the fans are men and young boys, which is a beautiful thing. So.
That is awesome. So, Godwin, I'm putting you in the hot seat a little bit. You got 2 former athletes right here.
Right.
I used to hear coaches say all the time that girls actually listen better. In your experience in camp with these young kids that are eager, do you see a difference in the willingness to take instruction?
Well,
well,
yeah, there might be a little bit of truth to that, because the girls, they tend to pay attention more. Guys get, drifted away sometimes when you're talking to them and stuff. But with the girls, they, just because of the fact that this opportunity has been around for the boys for the longest time, we, 4 or 5 years ago, started adding girls to it. So they see the importance of it. So when they come to camp, they're very, very attentive. They, they pay attention, they listen. And whereas the boys, they've had it all along, so it's not that serious to them, you know what I mean? But the girls, they take it very seriously.
They often say that when you're serving others, it's then that we learn the most about ourselves. What is something that you guys have learned about your business partners, about yourselves in this process that you maybe didn't expect to?
For me personally, like I said, it wasn't until starting Hustle Hard where I really discovered and gained a better understanding of my purpose. And even just with me working in the sports industry, I find what's most fulfilling for me. And I work my 9 to 5, and then maybe my 7 to midnight or 7 to 2 a.m. is Hustle Hard, because that's how dedicated and passionate I am to something that I've started. And I think it's a beautiful thing that, we're able to take our passion and our interests and everything aligns and you create something special.
What about you, Godwin?
Well, for me, basically, it's what that round ball, the opportunity that round ball can present to you. You know what I mean? I'm not, personally, I'm from a particular area in Nigeria where, kids cannot, when you come out of that area, you can't go to college. That's what they say, you can't go to college because, it's a very poor area. And basketball gave me that opportunity to see the world, to be here right now. I'm talking to you. If not for basketball, I'll probably be doing something else in Nigeria. So that very opportunity that Roundball gives to everyone that, you know, that touches that ball, or presents to everyone that touches that ball, that's the one very unique thing that I like about, you know, the game of basketball. You know, it gives you that opportunity to do whatever you want to do, and it opens doors for you that you will never expect. You know what I mean? So that's why when we go back, or when I talk to anybody, any kid that I run into, I always tell them, if basketball is very important to you, take it seriously. Whatever sports that you do, take it very seriously, because you never know where, you know, it can take you. So that's the one thing that I really, really love about this sport.
That is awesome, guys, for sure. Now, you guys have obviously been working diligently, focused, and concentrated on these areas in Africa, but the NBA also has upped the ante in terms of its international presence. Do you see where it's become feverish all around the world and in these places where you all travel?
Absolutely. I love the diversity, love the culture in itself, and love how we're incorporating just our international efforts and beings with the game of basketball that's such universal. So I think we're in a great space, and I look forward to seeing where basketball goes within the next 5 to 10 years, and just the diversity that it may have on that platform.
That is fantastic, Godwin. I know that Giants of Africa is kicking off next month. Ty, you've got an event next month that the folks here in D.C. need to know about. They can support Hustle Hard Global.
Absolutely. So in order to raise funds for what we do in Kenya, we're hosting our 2nd annual charity celebrity basketball game at Trinity University, which will be Saturday, August 25th, 1 to 5 p.m.
I'll be there.
Hey,
I've got the plan anyway.
Yes.
I will be there. Well, Ty, Godwin, thank you so much for joining me on the Roundball Report. Kudos to you. Hats off to you. You are doing incredible work. It is certainly worthy of admiration.
Thank you.